First, the Marvels, and then Wish. This is the story of how the Walt Disney Company incinerated $500 million in November.
Renegade Online.
Well, folks, welcome back. Another great day here at Valiant Renegade. It's good to see everybody out there once again. And if you are like one of the many folks watching this video, not yet subscribed to this channel, please take a moment and turn that little red subscribe button to gray. Hit that like button, hit that notification bell, share this sucker out on the social medias, and of course, please do leave a comment before you head out the door today. No matter how you slice it, it's been a terrible month for the Walt Disney Company, and that's saying a lot considering the string of bombs, flops, fails, and just complete duds that have come out in the past year to year and a half for the Walt Disney Company. Nothing seems to be going right at all. But November has been spectacularly terrible. First, there was The Marvels, a sequel that absolutely nobody asked for, and everybody but Disney seemed to know long in advance that this movie was likely to flop, and flop it did. A $300 million production budget on this complete catastrophe, which looks like it may end its run just about where we projected it would before it opened, somewhere around $225 million or so, and it may even be lucky to get there. It really depends on how well this thing can hang on, even just eking its way over $200 million in total global grosses between now and, say, the end of the year as we approach the Christmas holiday season. And then the latest debacle for Disney, Wish, an absolutely soulless, corporatized, terrible film that has no redeeming value whatsoever except to plant a bunch of 100th anniversary Easter eggs up and down the film with seemingly haphazard levels of care. Even the animation and cinematography choices in this film seemed very flat. And many of the musical pieces in this film, I'm sure Disney intended to have big TikTok hits, but that didn't happen. It may as well have been completely composed and performed by artificial intelligence. With a just over $31 million 5-day opening weekend domestically, this may turn out to be Disney's worst performance at the box office since Treasure Planet back in 2002. And I'm going to remind folks that Treasure Planet only cost about $100 million to make, half of what it cost to make Wish, and that movie had a final global box office haul of just shy of $100 million. Wish might not even get there, and we're not even talking about adjusting Treasure Planet's box office for inflation in the past 2 decades. And if you want to know how bad this really is, just take a look at the dailies here on the numbers. It opened up with a first Wednesday, including Tuesday night previews, of about 8.1 million. On Thanksgiving Day, falling down to 3.7 million, but that's not a terrible surprise. Moviegoers usually don't go on Thanksgiving Day, they go on Black Friday. But Black Friday was even under the opening day with previews at 8 million, then 7.1 on Saturday, 4.4 million on its first Sunday, and then look at the terrible drop on the first Monday, down 83%, and it's not as if Sunday was a blowout. $745,000 on the first Monday. I cannot remember the last major Disney production whose first Monday was under $1 million. We'd probably have to go back at least a decade or two. Oh, wait, yeah, last year, Strange World. Good job, Disney. Killing it in November. I guess I forgot Strange World even existed, just like everybody else. So if The Marvels finishes out just slightly above $200 million and Wish somehow magically works its way up to $150 to $200 million, then that means that these two movies combined may only actually recover the monies that the Walt Disney Company spent just to market these things into theaters. About $100 million apiece is a fair average in 2023 for the Walt Disney Company, which is lower than it was previously because their movies used to be bigger hits. But Disney has since seemingly pulled back on a lot of these marketing dollars, but it's still a big spend nonetheless. That means the $200 million the Disney Company spent on Wish and the $300 million they spent on The Marvels is completely gone. Yeah, they turned cash into an intellectual property asset, something that the Walt Disney Company would normally depreciate over the course of time. But when there's no real revenue to come down the road except maybe a few PVOD sales, that's going to be about it. There's not much left to go with these things. It's not as if Captain Marvel, Monica Rambeau, and Ms. Marvel are in high demand at Universal Studios in Orlando, who have the rights to have the Marvel characters in that theme park. And it's not as if the songs or the toys, merchandise in general from either of these films is going to make any real sales. Disney will once again be swiping the $15 billion in the hole direct-to-consumer, or rather Disney Plus credit card, to feed some money over to these productions to say, look, they made some licensing income for post-theatrical streaming. But of course, that's just the Walt Disney Company shuffling numbers on a balance sheet or rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. Same thing. November of 2023 will go down as the worst month in box office history for a single studio. Congratulations, Disney. If any other major Hollywood studio had incinerated $500 million on two horribly put together films that were completely over budgeted to begin with, there would be mass firings, heads would roll. Let's see what happens at the Walt Disney Company, because this just continues to go on and on and on. And it's not just one studio over there. It's Lucasfilm with trash like Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, a very costly mistake by the Walt Disney Company. Then throw in virtually everything from the Disney-distributed Marvel Cinematic Universe since Phase 4 began, and Pixar and Walt Disney Animation, which are both floundering. Once the gold standard in the market for years on end, now can't seem to find a single penny at the box office anymore. And yes, as we previously discussed in Disney's recent annual filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission, they lament the fact that they can't seem to project where audiences are going to be 2 and 3 years down the line as they put things into pre-production now. Of course, the problem with that is audiences haven't changed. They haven't gone anywhere. It's Disney that has left their audiences, the people that used to pay their bills. And then there is the hilariously, let's call it, statement of mistruth in the Walt Disney report suggesting that audiences simply haven't returned to theaters like they have since before the pandemic. Oh, really? Tell that to Minions: Rise of Gru. How about Top Gun: Maverick, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Super Mario Brothers, the movie that came out earlier this year? How about Spider-Man: No Way Home, an MCU title that Sony distributes and clocked in almost $2 billion? Or how about Avatar: The Way of Water, a film that, though James Cameron owns and controls, you yourselves, Disney, have the blessing of the distribution rights to that into theaters? How are all of these audiences showing up for these films made by everyone else, but not yours? So please, spare us the complete BS excuses. It's time for Bob Iger to march his little butt out in front of a camera and apologize to the fans out there for not doing his job, because he's the guy responsible for all of this mess in the first place. Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.